Okay, good evening. This is the July 11th, 2024 meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust here in Kingston. Present trustees online we have
Nathan Hedberg.
in the room.
Paul Armstrong.
Eric Crone.
And Jean Landis-Nauman. And Eric is our newest member. He's a member of the Board of Selectmen and valiantly raised his hand to serve on the Affordable Housing Trust, which we appreciate very much. When Jess was on the board and served on this committee, she was invaluable to us as that coordination between the selectmen and the Affordable Housing Trust, because we're kind of just dangling out here.
I know. Well, it's clear. I mean, there are things that we need to do, but like you said before, we're so handcuffed.
A little bit, yeah.
What we can do.
Yeah. Because what I'm hearing is with the water, they're giving us 2 to 5 years, which
Wow,
that's a long time to not have any new development,
right.
Whether it's housing or it's
Commercial.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a very long time, and not every builder is going to be able to or want to build it well.
Right.
We're still tapping into the same aquifer.
I know.
It's not
But this
like
is
it's
all
a new
the
source.
This is the state saying, I mean, there's water there, but the state is saying you can only tap so much, and that's what's going on here.
Yeah. I had talked to one of the water commissioners and said, well, was that decision made during COVID when more people were home utilizing water? And they said, no, it was after COVID. So, okay. Yeah. I was just looking for any avenue,
Right.
That where we might reconsider the decision. Okay. So just to kind of bring you up to speed a little bit, Eric, we try and work closely with the board, with the planning board and the town planner, with some success. Having Paul helps quite a bit because he's here a lot of the time and can hear and see what's going on, at least in his department. Whereas we don't have a staff member. When we proposed a staff member, we were told that there's no physical space for staff member. So, because honestly, the affordable housing trusts that get much traction at all have staff who work on affordable housing issues all week long.
Right.
And they work much more closely with the town planner, with the planning board. So in that respect, we're at a bit of a disadvantage. We do take advantage of the resources being offered by Mass Housing Partnership. If you're not familiar with them, they're a quasi-government entity. There's a lot of good resources on their website. I wouldn't say their website's the easiest to negotiate. It's a little hard to find stuff that relates to what we're doing, but it is there. And we have attended some of their training sessions. They recently did a listening tour. I sat in on that. We've worked with them before to try and develop some sort of cooperative effort with some other communities in the area, and that just never went anywhere. Again, some of the more successful affordable housing trusts do partner with other towns, and then they're able to then hire staff who works on behalf of all those communities. So there just doesn't seem to be the same interest here in the South Shore to work cooperatively.
And what would the staff be doing? Would they be working with developers and landowners to try to develop? Is that the idea that,
yes,
that we would be promoting these?
Yes.
I mean, obviously we're not builders, the town is, but
no, they would, a lot of them, there are developers out there who deal exclusively in affordable housing. And so if you have a housing coordinator, they can stay in touch with them, they can develop relationships, they can help, ease the process to get them involved in building something in the town. And they're just aware of all the different grants and things that are available.
So is it another way to kind of outside of 40R or 40B is it a way to be more proactive, to work with these people to help? I mean, do they kind of help navigate the builders through the phases within our government and approval
Yeah.
system? Is that kind
I
of what
think
they
that-
do?
Yeah,
In Kingston, we have if you develop a piece of property for housing, 10% of it's supposed to be
Right.
affordable. One of the things that the committee can do, if there's people coming in to develop, is try to sit down with them and say, okay, can we up that a little bit? Is there a value to that we could set?
Yeah.
So that you'll upfront have another unit or two, and you'll be made whole of what you would have made, let's say. On
And
the sale.
how do you make them whole on that? I mean, because what you're trying to do is get them to build more affordable, which they're not making as much money. So is the idea that you're helping get around some other zoning?
No.
requirements, or-
no. So let's say, they put 300,000 into a normal home, and
Yeah.
then whatever they make over that is their profit.
Yep.
But for an affordable unit, they may have to sell it for 250 or
Right.
225. So what we're saying is work with us and we'll provide that additional 50 or 75,000
It's a
dollars.
permanent.
Got
it's
it.
gotta be
To
grant
just
almost.
not
Yeah.
to build an additional unit, but to make one of your existing.
I got
units
At
affordable.
one
That
time,
makes sense.
At one time,
So we're subsidizing.
Marshfield,
Yeah.
they had a lot of starter homes from
Mhm.
leftover from the 60s, 70s, that starter homes. And if someone could find a starter home that was available, after the committee made sure that it was in reasonable shape, they could buy down, say it was going for 450.
Yeah.
And at the time it was 300. They'd buy the Affordable Housing
difference.
Trust would come up with the difference.
Got it.
Becomes a permanent, affordable home.
Yep.
Without them actually purchasing anything. just
Right.
Buying it down.
Yeah.
Buying the value.
Yeah,
That
so
makes
they
sense.
qualify for whatever
Clean.
mortgage
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
qualify for. And then the Affordable Housing Trust makes it possible to purchase that particular home.
And then there are typical restrictions in terms of them reselling.
Oh,
that
yeah,
kind of thing.
because then there's a
That's
permanent
permanent,
yeah.
deed restriction.
Yeah.
We also worked with a couple of developers. They didn't want to put the affordable on, they haven't done it lately because of the price of everything, but they
Yeah.
didn't want to put the affordables in the subdivision. They wanted to find another house. They found another parcel in another part of town. Kingston have at least 2 or 3 times.
Hmm.
And then came to an agreement with them, what would be reasonable upgrades to make sure that somebody's not moving into an affordable house with a 20-year-old
Yeah.
furnace or
Right.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
upgraded some things.
Mm.
Upgraded some things, but they were willing to spend that or a little bit more and put it in an affordable, in another location.
Yeah.
So it was,
Yeah. That's
I think
interesting. Right.
if the systems are up and the windows are up, the basic things that you look at. So I mean,
So
there's
you can get
ways-
creative to.
You can get a bit
Yeah.
creative, but
Yeah.
But we cannot because our only funding so far has been through CPC.
Sure.
So we have to follow CPC restrictions. So
Yeah.
if the house wasn't purchased with CPC funds, we can't go in and renovate it.
What other funding sources could we get other than, or are we restricted to CPC
No.
really?
No, depends on how creative your planning board wants to get.
Okay.
Because usually when a developer comes to town, they'll say, okay, we'll talk to you about this, but what are you going to do for our community?
Yeah.
You're coming in,
Yep.
you want to.
So kind of like the Sacred Heart project that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
so,
like an impact fee without calling it an
Yeah.
impact.
right,
That
right.
makes sense.
So some communities have their planning board routinely set aside some of that impact money for affordable housing.
Okay.
We haven't here, but
We haven't here, there doesn't seem to be any interest in
Okay.
pursuing that option. The other thing is some communities in their annual town budget, there's a certain portion that goes to.
on the other side of that coin is sometimes there's mitigation that can be done, and they can use the money right away.
Yeah.
As opposed to putting in our fund and we haven't really spent anything, so there's
Yeah.
no track record here really.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, every year we go to CPC and we ask for the majority portion that's already sitting in the housing fund because there
Right.
really isn't any other entity coming forward. So this year we asked for 50. And because there was that much available, and they recommended a town meeting approved it.
Yeah.
Last year it was 40. So
The inflation eats it up.
Right.
yeah,
Right,
but
I know.
we're working with the town treasurer / collector to invest the majority of that. And we're getting a pretty decent rate of return. In
Oh,
fact,
good.
we'll go over that
Okay.
in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So that's just
Right,
trying to
that
get
was
you
helpful.
a little bit up to speed. I'd be happy to talk to you offline if you want
Sure.
more information. Nathan, did you have anything you wanted to add here?
I would just say, yeah, I see my role here as like looking for opportunities. We had an opportunity on Howlands Lane a couple of years ago. There was a tax title property that was 1 day short of becoming like town property, but it was revived by the taxpayer, and so we had thought that would be a great property to renovate and make deed restricted affordable units at.
Everybody wanted it.
But looking for the next opportunity like that for sure.
Right.
And then also being a steward of the fund. So like Gene said, investing it and trying to make it grow until we need it.
Okay, I think our really only successful project to date was a series of 3 videos that we did with PAC TV.
Yeah.
And those are on the town website, just explaining to the public the difference between affordable housing and subsidized.
Right.
Because when we first surveyed the public, the general consensus was these were not the most desirable people to have in your neighborhood. So why would you support this? And what we've tried to do is explain these are all the people that serve you at your restaurant,
or our kids who just graduated college who need a house.
Or a senior who is house poor, and or human teachers and firemen, policemen. Their starting salary doesn't really qualify them when the average home here in Kingston last year sold for $625.
I know.
That's beyond the reach of many salaries. Even though they're decent salaries, it's considered that you should spend no more than 30% of your income on housing, which includes utilities and all of that.
And I remember when Thorndike did his presentation on the Sacred Heart Project, the affordable housing units, I think they were around 600,000 if I remember correctly. I'm like, I mean, we had that. Like,
well, it depends on what you use for definition.
How is that affordable?
No, it's not. Usually it's up to 80% of the median.
Like around 60 right now.
And for us, it was what, about 70 or 80,000 a year.
Right now it's, as far as the value, the cost, the ones that there's a couple of 40Bs still going on. I think they're selling them, the affordables were like 360.
Yeah.
And all the other houses around it are 900.
But it depends on the mortgage. But I remember at the time when he was doing the presentation, I was under the table. I was doing my math for the qualifying for the mortgage. I'm like, for your, and I said it out loud. I said, your affordable units would require a single person or couple, a household, to be earning $220,000 to earn this house, to be able to buy this house.
Yeah.
He said, well, it's all about the state average. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
We've been through this on another project.
Yeah. The numbers weren't
just one more thing, just to throw it out there, that quite a few years ago, they built a Habitat house down on Grove Street, a single. The town had taken a piece of property because it was a chunk off a big piece that was supposed to go to a next door neighbor. He never bought it. And so it wasn't created legally as a buildable lot. They went in and they actually deeded it over to the Habitat. The town did. Habitat of Humanity, they went in with a 1-lot 40B. And were able to get waivers to build an affordable house. So there's ways you can get there with those scattered lots. And still provide. And as an aside, if you notice, 25 years ago, you couldn't sell a house unless it had an acre.
Right.
you go and look at all the stuff that's being sold now that's all clustered.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They get an 8 or 10,000 square foot lot and they ask the builder to make the lawn in the back smaller.
Yeah, they don't wanna do
So
one.
there's a different mindset.
there is.
Yeah, yeah.
There is.
And we've scrutinized the tax title list many, many times and
Okay.
to see what's there and what
There's a
would be
few.
doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some opportunities there.
Yep.
But again, right now, water is an issue and the whole tax title issue is up in the air. So, all right, well, why don't we get to this agenda? I should have said this in the beginning. This meeting is being by PAC TV. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Don't see anyone. Okay. So the first thing we have is our minutes from May 9th.
Motion to approve.
I trust you had an opportunity to read
Oh,
them.
yeah, absolutely.
Word for word,
I
right?
make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll
This is
second.
of May 9th. Okay. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Nathan,
Nathan, I.
All aye.
Jean, I.
Eric abstain.
Okay. 301. Okay. Kingston Housing, I'm sorry, appointment of the new trustee. Apparently Sheila Vaughn has submitted her name requesting to be appointed to the Affordable Housing Trust, which I think we all welcome. We can have up to 7 trustees. So I have been asked to see if we can make a recommendation to the Board of
So you want
Selectmen.
another motion?
I do need another motion.
Just like.
The
make a
motion is to
There.
recommend Sheila Vaughn as trustee.
That's my motion. Word for
All
word.
right, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All vote,
Nathan, I.
All aye.
Jean, I.
Eric, I.
Okay. I promised Keith I would have this on his desk tonight, so there it is. It's ready to go. Okay, the declaration of trust. We have the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the update. It needs signatures of all the selectmen and all of the trustees. You and I have signed it. Nathan,
I
you-
signed it today. Yep.
you did at the town clerk's office?
Mhm.
I
Okay,
signed it too, but now we're gonna have to redo it.
with Sheila?
Yeah,
Maybe we can just do an addendum or
yeah,
something?
okay.
Okay, you know, when you guys act on this on Tuesday night, if you could just include that as part of the motion to amend the declaration to include her?
Yep.
Okay. All
We
right.
need something from us to say we ask them to do that.
I
Well,
think,
here's
yeah, I
two.
think that, yeah,
Okay.
that,
Yeah, but you have 3 selectmen that haven't signed it yet.
yeah, I think, so we did, they went in and signed it first. They
And
signed
then-
it last week, but then something was wrong, or they didn't do the second page. So now they gotta go back and sign it again.
Okay,
And they know that there were emails going out today.
okay.
Kim actually came today and signed it, but then they didn't tell her the other page.
Yeah, I think
So
when I
Kim thought
was,
she was all done.
yeah, I was down there Tuesday and I asked, who else they needed signatures from and
Did
then.
you sign 2 pages? Or do we have to
No,
all
I
sign
think it's
one?
just.
It might just be the
selectmen.
Okay, good, because I was.
Because-
Yeah.
Janice said, there's 2 places the selectmen need to sign.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I think we're good there. All right, so the investment of our funds. And once the declaration is signed, we'll have town councils submit it to the Register of Deeds.
Okay.
Okay. Because we cannot take any formal action if our declaration is not current.
Got it.
That's why, and before it had to go before town meeting. So I submitted a warrant article last year to change that so it could be selected.
Oh, okay,
to give us the flexibility, because we may have some other changes. So,
correct,
you know, to
right.
wait for town meeting and not be able to take any action until that's approved.
Right,
And, you know, that all has to go to the Attorney General's office for review. I
Right.
mean, it's a long,
it is a long
and
process,
I didn't feel it was necessary just to update who's a
Right.
selectman and who's a trustee.
right?
Okay. All right. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at the warrant, the bylaw on the affordable housing.
No, I
Yes.
didn't.
Okay. I would recommend that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
It's terrific reading.
I was looking through everything else. I didn't find the videos though. I looked at the video, that Amy Belmore.
Yeah, but there
that
should be
one.
2 others right with it.
I didn't, it was only one video. I saw it
Uh,
mentioning the videos, but I only saw one. Now I'm a tech guy, so
Uh-huh.
you'd think I would know, but I may have also just missed it.
I don't know what happens with our town website.
I know.
Stuff gets posted and then it disappears. The Board of Health had posted their up-to-date regulations, and now it's back to, I don't know,
Oh, no.
1990s regulations. So
Oh,
I
God.
brought it to their attention
Yeah.
too, but stuff seems to.
Who's responsible for it right now? Do you know? Is it just,
Jana does all mine
yeah,
because they took away my authority when they switched websites.
okay.
I used to be able to do
Just go in
everything
and do your part.
for my committees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have to go through Janet, but I believe each department is supposed to have someone with authorized.
They used to have a central location that took care of it. and
I
they just
know.
spread it out.
Well, I helped, was it Mary Lou? It was before Mary Lou. I helped set up the first website that was used probably 15, 16, 17 years ago. And I used to be able to go in and do things too, because I was on the school.
Shelley,
committee.
Shelley.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was right.
Yeah. Well, the
That was
current one is still not as,
I know.
and we really need someone who has that in their job description. To,
Put that on your list.
Well, it's actually already on Keith's goals for
right,
this
to
coming year.
have someone who does daily maintenance on the town website.
Yeah,
Years ago, I talked with someone in, I think it was Somerville.
It was one of those things, I think, that used to be, when they started, it didn't seem like it was a big deal, but it's.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's time consuming.
it only took 25 steps to post minutes, but.
Yeah, so there you go.
But I had gotten it down to a science because I was doing it for several committees, but now I can't do that. Okay, so that's our declaration, the investment. I got this email from Ken Lally on June 11th. Said it's been about a year since we just agreed to move the money to a short-term CD. Our results have been impressive. The initial investment of $800,000 netted just over $21,000 in interest in 6 months. There was $40,000 transfer from last year's annual town meeting. So he was able to make another investment to a 7-month CD totaling $861,000. Excuse me. I anticipate the account value will be $885,000 when this matures in July or August. On July 1st, I'll be moving the $50,000 from the most recent ATM. Excuse me. That will give us a balance of $935,000. I'd suggest we let it ride. Oh my. In the short-term market, as the rates are still favorable. So I think we talked about it. I responded and said, yeah, let's keep it going. We're doing okay here. Okay, so we were involved on the edges of the ADU bylaw that was presented at town meeting. And we had done a pretty good study of it a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, and came to the conclusion that it would be a good thing for Kingston. However, the units are not going to be counted in the affordable housing. Because who wants to put that deed restriction on it?
Right.
You know? So So we think it's a wonderful additional tool in the housing group. And we're gonna follow it to see just how many applications they get. Paul will probably know. Have you had any
We had a couple of people already.
already?
Mhm.
One person I think at least applied, and somebody else, a couple of people looking.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure. The state is probably coming up with a accessory housing unit regulation or grandfather or something coming up. I'm not sure the particulars of it.
Yeah. I believe it was a lot more liberal than what we can.
It was a matter of right rather than special permit,
Yeah.
and there was some question of whether or not that local would be able to put in some reasonable regulations as far as setbacks and stuff. I'm not sure what that is, but that's what everybody's concerned about. Not that they don't think it's a great idea, it's just that there may be some places. Ours, the one we just passed, it had 20,000 square feet. Whether that's allowable under the state regulation or not, hopefully at least there'll be some setback and density, percent lot coverage language that the town can put in.
And the requirement that the owner live in one of the
units. Yeah, and I think that's a good
really
one.
important.
Yeah.
Whether or not, how enforceable that is in the long run, I don't know. But.
Well, we asked that question and we were told that they were gonna be checking on it every year, so.
Don't worry about it.
But we're gonna need ADUs for all our chickens. We've got 4 chickens right now in a big run, and my daughter has 4 more downstairs ready to go outside. So, and actually, I'm probably gonna need an ADU for my daughter because she doesn't seem to have that. She's finishing up school for nursing. This is the 2nd degree. She's only 25, but I don't know that we're getting rid of her.
Yeah.
So I might need an ADU.
Yeah.
Was a marketing major at Bentley, and then he went back and got a nursing degree, and that was nursing.
My daughter did criminal justice, worked for the Plymouth Police Department for a week, and was like, and said, "I'm going back to school for nursing."
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think there's going to be a lot of different scenarios. Where an ADU just might fit the bill. So we're very pleased that town meeting went ahead.
I think it'll fit the intent of the goals, but obviously won't be able to count in terms of our statistics.
Our subsidized housing inventory.
Right.
Unless there was some incentive to local regulations to say you can do that, but you have to do an affordable unit, and then maybe some people don't do that. But only if you have some squeeze to make some trade-off thing.
We'd have to find something really attractive.
Yeah, but we'll see. At least there's life somewhere.
Yeah. All right, so every quarter we are required to submit a report to the CPC on what we've done. There have been some changes in who's on CPC. Previously,
She's still on?
yeah, Nathan is still on, right? Yeah. But as a private citizen, there is no one currently sitting in the housing chair. For a long time, it was someone from the housing authority. They've had some staffing, problems getting people to run for that position. So a couple of years ago, I went to town meeting with the bylaw change that it could be either them or us. And then we got to try and see if anyone on here wanted to go, well, you're looking at us. I mean, I think Jennifer is coming back. She signed the declaration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we now have you on, we can get Sheila on. We might actually have someone who's willing to serve on the CPC, because we think it's really important that someone be there advocating for
housing, right?
So we had a few rough years with CPC. They were fairly critical of the fact that we hadn't spent the money they had given us. Pretty adamant about getting the quarterly reports to them. So, we've tried very hard to meet the requirements, because you have to sign an agreement with them when you get money. So the March quarter, the report didn't go in until May 13th. And then I just did another one dated July 1st. So they should have both of those. And then the Mass Housing Partnership has a report that they recommend all affordable housing trusts complete each year. And every year CPC calls me and goes, "What's this?" And I, well, this is the annual report that we were told we have to submit. So that's been done.
And it's submitted to CPC.
To CPC.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It basically asks, what units have you built? You know, where are they? And you know,
They don't want to see us just having money sitting in a bank. They want to see us doing something.
Yeah,
But yeah, I get it.
too.
I get it.
We're really not fond of just sitting on it.
Right.
We're
But
not
it,
gonna
but it's
fritter
tough.
it
I
away.
mean, so I mean, the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like there was a house on Lake Street that was $500,000, 500,000, just a very small house, I guess. I don't know if it's still for sale, but in something like that, that's something where we could work with a developer maybe to buy it, rehab it if necessary, and then sell it affordably. But if they're buying it, like we're buying it, someone's buying it for 500,000 from the owners, then we're making any repairs and upgrades, and then we would have to buy down the difference to get it down to the affordable price.
And that
right?
would be
And
all.
the seller has to be willing to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, right.
And that
Okay.
would be.
So that's
That's, you know,
the problem.
we got 5 people in a row that want to pay.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
putting our whole nest egg in one house.
I got it,
You
right.
know, which really
Yeah.
doesn't do much to
No, it
increase the
doesn't.
inventory.
But there, wait, but sometimes it has to do with time.
Yeah,
Also in the market.
right. The market's been crazy.
Yeah,
Nothing to sell, so
No.
something comes on, it's
well, Valerie.
And that's why you're looking at the tax title properties
Right.
as well. Yeah.
Right. So Valerie did email me on May 9th saying she had sent another update of including some of the apartments at the mall
Mhm.
to Mass Housing to include in our subsidized housing inventory. I checked it Tuesday. It's still not up to date, which is not unusual.
Right.
So right now we're on the record for having housing units of 5,251. Total development units is 358. The number of subsidized units is 235, which leaves us at 4.48.
Yeah.
Okay. And the goal is to get to 10%, because when you are at 10% or higher, if you have an unfavorable 40B approach the town,
Yep.
you can say, no, thank you.
Got it.
You know, but until you reach that magic number, or you show significant progress towards that number, which is called safe harbor, you still have to entertain all those 40Bs. So a lot of towns try and get to that 10%, so they have the option. And it just makes good sense to have a significant amount of affordable housing in your community, because let's face it, not everybody can afford $500,000.
If someone does a market, a development like they did at the mall, they do 10%.
Yeah.
If you do a 40B apartment building, my understanding that you can count all the units towards
You
it,
can,
so
yeah.
that you get a big kick.
even though only 25% are actually affordable,
Right.
you can count all of them. So the one that's being proposed on Thomas Street was 165 units, right?
Yeah.
I think
Something like that.
I think that's what he was proposing. So even though 25% of those would be affordable, the entire place, the 165, would count towards our subsidized inventory.
Only with apartment, not with single family.
Yeah, just the apartments.
Right.
To me, that's just a shell game.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't have that many affordable units.
Right.
Even though
Right.
it gets you to the
It gets you to the
10%.
the 40B situation,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really
If you
mean.
maybe put in a
Yeah.
40B apartment building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we are with our subsidized housing inventory. And it, Nathan, if you have anything, you gotta speak up, honey, because I'm not always turned towards you.
No problem. No, nothing else to add right now.
Okay, all right. So then we did get a notice from, we did go to town meeting. Was it this time? Yeah. In the fall, I think. And we got the zoning bylaws modified to include us, the Affordable Housing Trust, on the list of town departments that get housing plans when they come in. Because we weren't finding out about these things until we really couldn't have any impact with the developer to include additional units. It was gone beyond where that was possible. So there was no other way for us to get that kind of advance notice. So that's now on the books.
Yeah, good.
So we did get a notice of a public hearing having to do with 70 Summer Street.
Yeah.
Which if you'll recall, it's right behind the post office. And what was
Okay.
Was it Adam that
originally it was a car repair place, and then
he turned it into an office building?
an office with apartments on the second floor. In the town center district, you get 2 units as a matter of right.
Yeah.
So we redid the building with, never finished the upstairs. He did retail office on the bottom, 2 units on the second floor.
Right.
You can have more than, you can have up to 6 units as in one building in downtown. But after 2, you have to go for a special permit from the planning board.
Right, and that's what this is. The new owner wants to add a 3rd level and make 6 apartments.
Yeah.
Instead of the 2 levels and 2 apartments. So that was the public hearing on June 24th.
It was continued.
It was continued, but I did attend just to see what was going on with that. I think it was continued to July or August. When was it continued to?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I have to look at the planning board agenda again. Okay. So what is this?
Which really meets what the bylaws are.
Yeah. So I come from Pennsylvania and I still get their local newspaper, and they're a city, so that they have resources we don't have, but they also have great ideas that I'd like to share with my various committees. And so there was, they were working on pretty much like our master plan. It was a 15-year plan, and they're ahead of all their benchmarks on here.
Is it 15 per acre? Is that what you're saying?
No, 15-year plan.
Oh, 15 year.
Yeah, yeah. So I just sent it on to Val, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we could make progress with an updated master plan? Keep in mind, our master plan was completed in 2017.
Yeah.
Never left the shelf.
That
Never
piece,
left the
the
shelf.
piece of property on Winthrop Street was shown on the master plan as
Housing.
Housing.
Yeah.
But
The one that we just turned into
the primary
conservation.
box. So that,
Yeah, but we spent a lot of money and a lot of time developing a master plan, and it's not an issue.
Right.
And every time I mentioned it, I'd get blank stares. So I don't know, this has to be initiated by the planning board.
Right.
To have a new master plan. I think there are some discussions. What Valerie came back and said was there's a full corridor study of Route 3A and 53 from town line to town line. Since we're nearly built out and redevelopment is now a target through the OCPC. And then a full townwide transportation safety plan working with our engineers. The outreach component of the Route 3A and 53 study will be later this year. We've requested funding to update the housing production plan for the town. And we know that because we have, we're going to provide money for that. I think we guaranteed 10%. And the town just got its open space and recreation plan update approved. So again, the sticking point is really water at this point, I think. So even if we came up with a marvelous master plan, if it can't be, portions can't be implemented for 2 to 5 years, that certainly puts a crimp in things, but that doesn't mean we can't do other things. And again, if you need some nighttime reading, look at the master plan. It's online. It's an amazing plan. A lot of time.
It's not, yeah, it's a generalization plan. It's not real specific. I know we're gonna get there, but if I was king.
If you get to the very end, there's a list of activities recommended.
Right.
So I mean, it's not like they just said, oh, you ought to, make your town center look better. There are specific tasks listed there. So there's lots of things that could be done if the will is there.
Right.
And I think that's what we're lacking for whatever reason. Okay. I think I sent you guys this article. Median price of a single family home in Plymouth is around $800,000. Okay. At our previous meeting, I was authorized to attend this Mass Housing Partnership Housing Institute in June. I could not go due to my health, so the money that we had allocated is still there. Okay. So yes, our housing production plan is due in, it expires 2/21/26. So Val is on top of that. She's working with Old Colony Planning Council on that one. I think that's it. I haven't heard from Amy at Habitat. She has been under the weather health-wise herself. So no update from
They've been trying to find the same kind of thing, look for places to go in Kingston.
Yeah. I mean, we looked at one on Smith's Lane. Where's the other one?
Some of them.
Oh, the one on Maple, but the one on Maple was so tied up with.
Same as both of them.
Yeah, they
people
both
get sick, they go in the nursing home, and then the state puts a lien on it.
Yeah.
So you got to lean on it.
Yeah, but the one on Maple, there's all kinds of stuff.
And then having the state actually do something.
So the state takes over on the property.
Well, they get
sooner or
first
later.
shot
Yeah.
because of
They have a
the
lien on it,
Yeah,
but when they execute that legal activity can be years before they get to it.
and you've got to have a family who's ready to sell.
And it happens for foreclosed property too. We had one up on Station Street, a house that was on Wells Fargo had.
Mhm.
And it took like 11 years before they finally foreclosed on it because they only want to do so many a year for their loss statement.
Right.
So it just sat there.
And deteriorates and loses value,
Right.
which doesn't make any sense.
No,
to
it
me.
happened to the house across the street from me on Longwood Circle.
Yeah.
It's sat empty for 10 years.
So it was a horror show when you went in, right?
Well, we didn't go in, but it was literally across the street, and the old woman, her kids were still going in there. Not the old woman, but I mean the previous owner.
Mhm.
Her kids were in there once in a while, which she didn't know, and we alerted her, and that was taken care of. But there was a lot of damage done, and somebody bought it, and then they renovated it, and then built an addition of sort of an in-law
Mhm.
over their garage.
Yeah.
So the parents who bought the house, they moved up there, and then their daughter moved into the main part of the house. So it's great now.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of the work himself. So it was able to be revived. And I mean, I thought it was going to have to be raised, but even being, and windows were broken.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that a house could survive.
There's one like
It's-
that.
The
on
bones
River.
are good.
The bones were good.
Yeah, there's one like that on River right now.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
it's a shame. I mean, there's wild animals.
So they just won't do anything with it.
Yeah, and
They live in Duxbury.
There's two brothers who just.
They pay the taxes though.
Yeah, they do. That one is not in tax title, but it's a shambles.
Yeah, it was in excellent shape at the beginning, but
Yeah, now
it's
it's
been
a
10 years
shambles.
now.
So that's a shame.
So,
It's too bad because that's the kind of thing that could help us.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, really.
You-
Okay, anything else, guys?
Nope, just keep your eye out around town for housing opportunities.
All right, all right.
Sniff around.
All right, so I
Yeah.
need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Good. Second.
All right,
It almost looks okay
Nathan?
out front now.
Nathan, I.
Paul,
Aye.
Eric, I.
Jean, I thank you all very, very much.